Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. Happy Tuesday. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com, and I hope it finds you well. Got the big bowling match tonight. Pretty excited. You know, it's sad. I get excited about bowling now. I mean, we're having a good time. We're not very good. I'm hoping to bounce back. I really let the team down last week, so hopefully I'll make a big recovery today. It was those Chinese pins. They just wouldn't fall down for me. So we'll see how it goes. I'll update you all tomorrow. Don't forget our CBD products. It really is important for the radio station. Any second. I don't know about the second, but hopefully in the next 24 to 48 hours, we'll be adding even more products. We're at 5 now. I think we'll be up to 9 before the end of the week. So be ready for that. My favorite product is finally ready to go. The cocoa is coming, but get your orders in. Remember, you can pick up CBD products now with both our Arizona and our Colorado locations, and I don't need to tell you, I'm a big fan. I'm sold. And like a lot of things, I guess, I hate change. Most people do, I think. And I never really, tried the CBD stuff. And even though I've got friends that have, but when these guys came along, when my kind came along, and they were telling us about how they do their products and even how they get the CBD, I don't know how to call it, whatever the technical science term is, but a lot of these companies use these really harsh chemicals in the extraction process. They don't at all. Matter of fact, they use like an alcohol base, because it's not harsh at all. Of course, there is no alcohol and there's no THC in it. But everything they do, these guys have really thought of everything. It's no wonder why they've won so many awards for all the things that they do. So go out to 1360 KHNC, hit the shop button, and it's not just the quality of the product; it's the price. I mean, what my kind has done to try to support 1360 has been nothing short of amazing. I mean, we're about half the price that they are on their own website, so we actually undersell them. That's how great it is out there. So get out there, get those CBDs, give them a try. I'm a big, the tinctures really, the thing I do every day. I just put a dropper full under my tongue every day, and that's it. It's over. It's done. Then I use the salve and the lotion like tonight, so it's bowling. Right? So my left knee, I'll take this the lotion and I'll coat my knee with it and things like that, because kind of gives me, maybe it's psychological, I don't know, but it feels like it helps me out and allows me to do it. So check those out. Listen, we got a lot to talk about today. A lot. Janet Yellen was out yesterday blistering Bitcoin. I'll tell you about it, and remember, I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. And remember what I told you, just don't do it on the margin, because if you lose at one point, Bitcoin was down $8,000. It's come back a little bit, but get ready. The battle line's being drawn. Janet Yellen confirming now, yeah, she's all for the digital thing. I told you. Jay Powell's out. The Senate Banking Committee. Yeah, I hope all of the people on the banking committee got protective eyeglasses. I do, because he's out there lying like. Let me tell you right now, Pinocchio would be proud of Jay Powell today. That's how big of a lie he's out there trying to tell. Be ready. That's all I'm going to tell you. Be ready. I think massive inflation is coming. And, of course, inflation, now remember what inflation really is. Devaluation. Massive devaluation coming here to the United States this morning. And I don't know why, but it caught my eye. I was driving past, earlier this week I filled up for gas. It was $2.75. Gas had been like $2.45 a week earlier. Gas, cheap gas, because I like to pay less. $3 a gallon. Well, $2.99.9. Gas here in Arizona. Man, that was fast. Now, I want to believe it has to do with Texas, because I know we get some of our gas from Texas. We get gas in Arizona from Texas and California. Kind of weird, right? Because obviously California is really expensive. But I want to believe that it's, I'll use a word Jay Powell like to use. It's transitory. Yeah, it won't last that long. But $3 gas back here in the Valley of the Sun. When we get back, what did Janet Yellen say yesterday? What is Jay Powell saying today? And an item that we've never run before, and I don't know that we would ever run it again. How's that? This is truly a novelty. Really, hey, here's what I like about it. Super cool, totally different, and not expensive. That's right. Our whole package today will be less than $300. So be ready for that. And it will have gold and silver in it for under $300. You heard it right. That's all coming up. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Elon Musk probably doesn't like Janet Yellen very much today as she hammered Bitcoin last night. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. And again, remember, this is about power and control. And the bankers are not going to go quietly. Think about what they've done. Right? We know. Everybody knows. We already have massive inflation. I was talking to my buddy Cliff. Used car prices through the roof. New car prices through the roof. We've talked about lumber and copper and cement, and look at gold and silver and really pick a commodity. How about housing prices? You're talking about housing prices that are up 10, 15, 20% in a year. Right? And we've seen this play out before, but look at what they're doing right now. I mean, normally, when you have higher inflation, you have higher rates, higher interest rates. And, we laugh. We're talking about, oh, no, the 10-year note's at like 1.35 or 1.4. And you think about how much buying power your money is losing every day. I mean, here in the Valley, on 2 weeks, gas price up 55 cents a gallon. Just bam. And you can't leave it in the bank. I mean, it'd be one thing, right? If the 10-year note or the Fed's funds rate was at 5% and the 10-year note was yielding 7 or 8%, okay, maybe. Maybe at that point it's just not that bad. Because, what's real inflation right now? 8 to 10% at least. At least. And they're deliberately and artificially trying to keep rates down. So essentially what they're saying is, hey, listen, your money's not worth it. That's what they're saying. You're dumb if you keep it in the bank. I'm not saying that. That's what they're saying. I mean, think about it. Okay, you get nothing for having it in there. Matter of fact, your bank account pretty much for most people, it's an expense, right? It's an expense. You don't get a free toaster. You don't get any interest, right? They got all the fees, right? All that. It's an expense, and you don't even own it. And they've manipulated it all, right? These are the tools that they claim to have. This is what, listen, it's okay to be a little early. You can't be late. There's a super cycle of liquidity, a super cycle of money velocity, a super cycle of rising prices, and you're going to see huge moves in all the market. Listen, I think the stock market's going to have a great year in 2021. I do. 2022, probably not. Right? Gold and silver are going to have a great year. 2022, I think they're going to have an even better year. But Janet Yellen was out yesterday. She is now, then you got to remember now, Janet Yellen's now the Treasury Secretary. She was already the head of the Federal Reserve. And what caught my eye is she was warning everybody yesterday, get this, about the dangers that Bitcoin poses to both investors and the public. And I'm like, all right, calm it down. But I can understand, hey, investors, be leery. Okay, I could see that, right? Look at today. At one point today, Bitcoin was down like 8,000 or 9,000, right? So as an investor, if you're buying Bitcoin, you got to be careful. But that's anything. It's any stock. How about you holders of Tesla today? How happy are you? Right? Think about this now. Tesla stock price is now tied to Bitcoin. But the public? What's the danger to me? Danger to me? No danger to anybody out there. Listen, if you want to risk some of your hard-earned money on Bitcoin and try to make a lick, that's up to you. Why not? But what's the danger to everybody else? But again, this tells you how devious they really are. Because really, you know what? The danger is not to the public. The danger is to their precious little banking system. Despite a sharp slide in the price to start the week. So I think Bitcoin got to 58,000, I think. I don't follow it every second. It moves so fast. I know that it was as low as 45,000. I think it's like 48,000 right now. So but this was yesterday. This was late yesterday. The cryptocurrency was trading around 53,000. And, of course, it mentioned Elon Musk as a substantial purchase. Boy, I bet he regrets that a little bit. Yellen says there remains important questions about legitimacy and stability. I don't think that Bitcoin is widely used as a transaction mechanism. Okay, wow, what? That's great rocket science, Janet. Not yet, right? It's still new, right? Most people don't accept it. And remember, I think that's the death of Bitcoin, by the way. If Bitcoin tries to go mainstream, I think it's done. I think they should be more like Ethereum, which is, hey, we're not a currency, right? They're more of a technology type play, maybe a little smarter down the road. But nonetheless, to the extent, if it is used, I fear it's often for illicit finance. Right, there you go. Right, this is the classic pattern. Right, we got to badmouth it. Right, it's just like cash. Right, we know cash. Why would you have $10,000 in cash or more? Why? Well, you must be doing something illegal, right? You must be a terrorist, a drug dealer, right? All of those things. Now, Bitcoin, same thing. It's an this was the part that really got interesting. It's an extremely inefficient way of conducting transactions. And I was like, wow, because, really the blockchain technology, right, that's, all that in the bag of chips. Well, apparently Janet Yellen says, well, Bitcoin's it's not very efficient. Then she went to another angle. Right, this is also on the, right, so let me tell you everything that's bad about it. And the amount of energy that is consumed in processing those transactions is staggering. So I thought at first he was talking about, the amount of electricity taken to create the Bitcoin, right? And we've seen them, right? They got rooms with racks and racks and racks of servers. But she wasn't. She was talking about the amount of power needed to make the I don't know why that transaction would be any more power than any other. But again, I'm not an expert. I'm just letting you know what the Treasury Secretary is saying. Mining Bitcoins requires users to solve complex mathematical equations using high-powered computer setups. Okay, so we know that part. That part we know. It's a lot of power. The electrical consumption used in the process leaves an annual carbon footprint equal to the nation of New Zealand. Now, I've never been to New Zealand. Don't know a lot about New Zealand. I think they got sheep there, right? I'm not sure. But I'm not exactly like a power juggernaut. But nonetheless, just another shaming, global warming. Oh, yeah, shame. I'm sure Bill Gates will be out next, right? First, we're going to kill the cows, right? Got to get rid of them, right? Everyone's going to get their meat out of a 3D printer, and Bitcoin's got to go. In addition to consumption concerns, Bitcoin is considered to be a tool of those involved in a number of illicit activities because its use is difficult to trace. That was kind of the whole point of the crypto. We kind of learned now, guess what? Like anything else, if they want to find you, they can. They want to find you, they can. She went on to say, it is a highly speculative asset. And I think people should be aware it can be extremely volatile. And I worry about potential losses that investors can suffer. Yeah, you're worried about that, but you weren't worried about the losses to GameStop and AMC and all the others. Of course not. Well, you pretended you were worried. It's so funny. Oh, I'm worried now. Now I'm worried. I mean, really, when you think about it, Bitcoin's been a pretty good investment. Various government agencies had contemplated the idea of making an alternative digital currency. And I've already told you. And I know it's part of the story. Don't be fooled. They're doing it, okay? Listen, we're so far down the road on this, you have no idea. But let me tell you what, I'm not a fan of Janet Yellen. Matter of fact, I think I should be. I think Janet Yellen, she's been very good for my career. Let's just leave it at that. Very good for my career. And she was talking about the possibility of a new digital currency along with a new payment system that it expects to roll out in the next several years. Oh, apparently they are working on it. Here's what she said. I think it could result in faster, safer, and cheaper payments, which I think are important goals. Once again, I think the American public's dumb enough that they'll give up all of their freedoms for convenience. Right? Isn't that what that is? Hey, look how it's going to be faster, safer, cheaper, right? Cheaper being the key thing. And she says that it makes sense for central banks to be looking at digital dollars, issuing sovereign digital currency. So there you go. Now cat's out of the bag. We're all on board for it. Now, and you know what's so funny is she said it at a virtual conference. Right? Virtual currency at a virtual concert. The digital dollar could help address hurdles to financial inclusion in the U.S. among low-income households. Excuse me? By having a digital currency, we could address the hurdles to financial inclusion? Right, that's another word for poor people. By having this, another reference, and I've told you it's coming, universal basic income. See, right now, our system is very, very messy. Janet Yellen wants to help fix that. Patriot Radio News Hour. Incredible truth coming out of the Treasury Secretary yesterday. 800-951-0592. I hate it when I'm right. Actually, I don't. I love it. I love it when I'm right. Janet Yellen. Listen to this again. Now, a lot of truth followed by tons of lies. Too many Americans don't have access to easy payment systems. They don't? What systems is she talking about? And they don't have access to bank accounts. I guess she's talking about the homeless. And I think it's something that a digital dollar, a central bank digital currency could help with. See? And like I was telling you earlier, see, we got a sloppy system. Just imagine with this new digital dollar, and this is what they're trying to sell us. Hey, we could have just sent money to the unemployed people and nobody else. We could send money to homeless people, right? We'll give them free phones. We'll just keep loading up their stuff. They can buy all the drugs they want. It could result, now this part I loved. It could result in faster, safer, and cheaper payments. Maybe. Again, hey, maybe not. And they're talking about this is the most forward-leaning Treasury Secretary has ever been in endorsing a digital dollar. And it's, listen, please. This has been happening for a long time. Matter of fact, they were starting this. She was still at the Fed. She was still at the Fed. And here's what's happened. They've used and abused these tools. The central bank robs us of wealth, period. And you say, well, how do you know this? How are you sure about this? Well, just think about their 2% inflation, quote, target. That just means they only want to rob you 2%. But again, remember, it's the 2% the way they want to count it. Doesn't actually, here's the sad part. The way they track inflation doesn't even really track inflation. Right? That's probably the first problem. The second problem, go back to the last time we had hyperinflation. That was the 70s, right? Now, I was just a kid, so I can't really give you any history on that. I was making the cool motorcycle sounds with my bicycle. Boy, do I regret that. I don't know how many rookie Ricky Hendersons I put in the spokes of my Schwinn. But the one thing that was different was interest rates were really high. Right? Which is the way it should have been. Right? We don't want you to think your money still was valuable. How do I know? Well, you were getting a CD that paid 10, 12, 15, 20, at the end, 20%. Right? You could buy a 10-year treasury note and get 20% interest. Now, car loans, they were 24, 25, 26%. House loans, same thing. Guess what, though? The prices were really low. Now what they've done is now they don't pay you any interest. None. Zip. Nada. And now the inflation's coming. This is going to be twice as bad. There's going to be nowhere to run until the whole thing collapses on itself. Right? I mean, we already know. You know. Come on. By the end of this week, the House of Representatives will pass the $1.9 trillion spending bill. By the end of the month, the Senate's going to probably pass it, right? We're going to have the 5150 deal. We're going to have deficits over $30 trillion with a $20 trillion economy. Do the math. It's pretty simple. And then they lie. Jay Powell lied his ass off today. He said inflation was still soft. What the heck could you possibly be looking at? Tell me one thing that's cheaper. I guess, well, you're right. Hold on. I guess if you lived in San Francisco, which, as I told you yesterday, my friends from California, oh my, I make fun, it's not like I go to San Francisco. They're like, whatever you think, it's 10 times worse. All of them, and they're Northern Californians. They're like, yeah, nobody goes there. Maybe maybe New York, right, where the people are leaving. But look at the states, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Florida. I mean, housing is through the roof. Apartment prices here are ridiculous. Renting a house here in the Valley is a fortune. Buying a home, I say it all the time. Who can buy a $500,000 home? And, by the way, you need to put $100,000 down. Tell me what 20-some or 30-some-year-olds got $100,000 to put down on a house. There's no inflation. He called it soft this morning. I kid you not. And again, it's that level of arrogance that has led us to where we are. And it is all going to blow up. Yesterday we talked about the velocity of it all. We talked about the money supply. A huge article, and I will just tell you the amount of money flowing into China is setting records. Foreign money coming into China, buying Chinese debt in Chinese currency, all-time record highs. That money used to come here. That money used to come here. And it is leaving here, and you know why? Because they all know what's going to happen. Everybody knows it. I read to you verbatim what Janet Yellen just said. She pretty much said, listen, we're going to a digital Federal Reserve central bank currency, period, end of discussion. And you know how we're going to get there? By wiping everybody out. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back with that special next. 800-951-0592. So, wow. Again, I'll give credit for the honesty part of it. The problem is they follow it up with a bunch of bull, right? Jay Powell, inflation is still soft. What are you talking about? Right? Come on. And here's the sad part. We already know it's not soft. And they're going to make another huge, huge increase in the money supply. And at the same time, Janet Yellen's, they're going to do that little trick with the Federal Reserve and the Treasury to try to drive rates back down again because they already know inflation's here. And then the Fed's balance sheet, get ready. We're going to have $10 trillion. Could be as early as this summer. All in an attempt to drive interest rates even lower. They need it to They do. They need inflation. They need higher asset prices to justify all the debt that is already being held. I got an item. This is one of these estate items. And these are the novelty things that, competitors run and overcharge people and all of this stuff. But so this one's pretty cool. I've got 75 of these packages. In the package, you're going to receive a 1/10 ounce of gold and 2 half ounces of silver. The price of the package is $275. Now, what makes it unique is these were minted by the Australian Mint, the Perth Mint. And on the head side, they've got the Queen. The tail side has a combination of the Stars and Stripes, right, the U.S. flag, and the Australian flag. In the middle, so the Australian flag's on the left, the Stars and Stripes on the right, and in the middle is a bird, with the wings, and the wings are like, to me anyway, they look like the wings of an airplane. And this was to commemorate World War II, where the Australians and the Americans fought together. Both the gold and the silver have the same design. In the silver, these are half-ounce silver coins. So you get 2 of those. And I've got them opened here. I've got them live in Phoenix. We'll ship them to Colorado. And they're just really, the silver coins are really, really neat. And the gold coins, those 1/10 ounce, they'll come in its own little, they made its own little case and everything for it. And you get 1/10 ounce of gold. The 1/10 ounce at $240. Listen, first of all, there's no 1/10 ounce out there. $240 would be for the few dealers that have them, that would be on the cheap side of things. And then you get the 2 half-ounce silver coins, $35 for the 2 of them. So $275 for the set, if you will, commemorating World War II with Australia and the United States together. So I've never seen it before. When I saw it in the state, I'm just going to tell you right now, it's cool. It's pretty cool. And for $275, it's priced right. It's really it's a neat looking design as far as the 2 flags with the bird, and like I said, to me anyway, the wings of the bird are like aircraft wings, fighter jet wings. Really kind of neat looking. 800-951-0592. Like I said, these are live in our Phoenix office. We'll get them up to Colorado as quickly as possible. I know Colorado's already gotten the Silver Eagles from last week. They've already gotten the Arctic Foxes from last week. The Krugerrands and the Gold Eagles are going to be there any day now, as we had to send them separately. But they'll be there any day as well. So they'll get up there really, really quick. Like I said, the problem is there's only 75 of them at 800-951-0592. Gold's pretty much unchanged today. They and again, another surprise. I'll give it to credit to gold today. Had a nice move yesterday, holding its own, especially on a day where Janet Yellen talked last night. Jay Powell's talking today, so you know they always want to give the illusion that these guys know what they're doing. But gold is hanging in there. The dollar 90.05. So no bounce from the dollar today, even with Jay Powell. And again, I've been talking about how weak the dollar's been despite the rising rates. And then Jay Powell talking today, not providing any assistance, saying the economy is a long way away because they want that money. They want that money. And its inflation goals is likely going to take some time for any substantial progress to be achieved. Okay. Get your eye gear out. Might get your eye poked out. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Got 55 of these. I guess we'll call them World War II. Perth Mint, Australian Mint, 10th ounce, and silver half-ounce coins with the queen on one side. The head side is the queen. The tail side, you got the stars and stripes on one side, the Australian flag on the other with this, I'll call it the war bird, right, with the bird in the middle with the fighter jet wings on it. They're $275 for the package. So you get 1 10th ounce and 2 of the half-ounce silver coins for $275 at 800-951-0592. How about this? Kansas joining Idaho. Others, man, so many states now taking up gold and silver gold and silver propositions. This one, though, going a step further. House Bill 2123. That would make gold and silver legal tender in the state of Kansas, recognizing it as a medium of exchange for payments of debts and taxes. In effect, gold and silver would be treated as money again in the state of Kansas, putting it on par with the Federal Reserve note. Also in that bill, they want to eliminate any capital gains taxes for gold and silver. We're seeing a lot of states do that. Listen, you're going to hear more of it. You're going to hear more of this for one simple reason. There's a lot of pain coming as the dollar ends its time here on Earth. You know, Janet Yellen doesn't make comments the way she made them yesterday if it wasn't already done. Right? First, she attacks Bitcoin, which I said my biggest fear is if any of the, what I'll call the digital cryptos, tries to actually be a full-blown medium of exchange, that's the end of them. Now, could they survive like as a payment system or something other than that? You know, the one guy who was talking about, hey, listen, all these big corporations and big banks are going to buy them so they can lend them out and securitize them and do all that. Right? They could survive as a different type of an instrument. but I don't think they could survive as a alternative payment system. And Janet Yellen kind of backed me up on that one. But just be careful. Understand what's happening. Understand that they want to end cash. They want to go to a digital currency that they can control. And again, they're going to offer convenience. And think about what she said. Oh, people don't have access to easy payments and bank accounts. And they know. I think a lot more people are going to end up in poverty. And you think about it, the numbers are already pretty significant. I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So make sure you have your gold and silver done before that happens. Patriot Radio News Hour. God bless everybody. We'll be back tomorrow.